All right, Drew. So about a year ago, we were actually literally in this living room, and we were talking and dreaming and discerning about the upcoming retreats. And I had asked the question, like, how do we help people wrestle with the question of, like, God, who have you made me to be? Who was I made to be? And you very gently, as you always do, reframed that question and said, what if there's a bigger question? And it's one of solidarity. Who has God made me to be for? With whom am I made to be with? This invitation beyond, again, I can get so stuck in my little, it's about what God's doing in me, get consumed by the meanness of it. Even when there's some good intentions to, like, for the sake of the world, it's still all about, it's centered in me. And you have been very gently, but without compromise, pushing me and pushing us beyond that question. Can you talk a little bit about solidarity?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that question, who am I meant to be? It is a good question, right? In a world where we are told all sorts of things,
Sure.
right?
Sure.
It's a good question to ask. It just can't be the end of the question,
Yeah.
right? If we stop there,
Yeah.
then there's a real danger in being turned in on oneself,
Yeah.
right? And I have all sorts of issues with Martin Luther, but one of the things that Luther did was he defined sin as, he used the Latin phrase incurvatus in se, right? To be turned in on oneself, right? And there's a real danger in when the spiritual journey becomes malformed, that it turns us in on our own selves, right?
Yeah.
And so we can take something like the conversation that we were having about kenosis and self-emptying, right? That we can turn that into a conversation about self-actualization, about
Yeah.
me, about my own, right?
Right.
And so those conversations about our own becoming, right? Very, very beautiful conversations. But when we talk about kenosis and we read Philippians 2, right? That self-emptying of Christ, it's always toward something. It's
Yeah.
towards solidarity
Yeah.
with all of humanity,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And so if our becoming isn't moving us toward a greater witness and oneness, an awakening to how one we already are with everyone and
Yes.
everything,
Yes.
that it's not really, we're not really getting there, right? And this is something that, you know, we were taught, like the Western world through the European mind, was taught, I think, therefore I am, right? It's a very me-centered way of viewing the world. Yet there is a truth within, particularly found within African spiritualities and culture, but expressed in different ways through in other parts of the world too. But the Ubuntu way of being, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
This reality that a person is a person through other persons, right? So it's not, I think, therefore I am. It's I am because we are,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And to me, that is what solidarity is meant to do. It's what it is, right? It's a totally different stance, a way of seeing and being in the world that understands myself as inextricably connected to and bound up with my neighbors, with the land itself,
Yeah.
and with God, right? So it's that oneness with everyone and everything that I believe is what Jesus actually prayed for in John 17, right?
Mm.
That's the oneness, the unity that he's talking about, that they would know this oneness, that they would be one, even as you, Father, and me, and I'm and you, and like this radical oneness, right? And so that changes you. It changes the way then you operate in the world if you understand yourself as bound up with others, our neighbors, right? And particularly thinking about those who are being oppressed and trampled on, and like what would it do if you understood that person, those persons, as not separated from you, but as bound up with you, right?
Yes.
So yeah, I mean, that's what was going through my mind, and there's a poem that I wrote in God Speaks Through Wombs. I gotta find it. It's called All In. And it's a short poem, and I wrote it reflecting on the baptism of Jesus. And it simply goes like this. Say, solidarity is a beautiful thing. Jumping into the same waters as sisters and brothers is harder than I realized. No performative show. This is incarnation. Baptism into human skin. This is what it looks like to be all in, right? And so it's just this picture of what, even what the baptism of Jesus is communicating, right? This all inness with humanity.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that. It strikes me, so many of us who grew up in Christian circles, I'll just speak for myself. I grew up in a very isolated, where it was kind of just about us and what we were doing, and that was okay. But there was a whole era of waking up to God's love for the world, and realizing that we can't just stay in our silo. But listen to this. So we have to go out and fix it.
Yeah.
We have to bring the God to those who don't have, we have to bring the good and the God to those who don't have it. And maybe that's an okay stopping point or transition point. But until it moves beyond to they are me, we are us, I need them as much as they need me. And until it moves beyond that weird savior complex thing, we're really not getting anywhere.
Yeah. I've often heard it said that God's new creation is the creation of a new we, right? It's a new we.
Yeah.
Who do we understand ourselves to be with, to be a part of? Who do we belong to, and who belongs to us?
Yeah.
You know?
Wow. I've never heard that. Yeah.
Yeah.